Well, there's the press conference, Ike, the one we've been waiting for. What do you got?
Well, I mean, I don't have much there. That was listen, there certainly wasn't much that I was surprised by from anything that they said. Although it certainly seems like they have a pretty good idea of what they're going to do offensively.
And they might have a pretty good idea what they're doing defensively, because if you missed the news during all of that, Vic Fangio and the Dolphins have mutually agreed to part ways, and Schefter says the Eagles are expected to be the ones right there for him.
Makes a lot of sense.
Well, listen, if you screwed up with the other Fangio guys, you might as well get the big dog in there.
And I think, I mean, listen, I've already gotten it on my timeline as I wanted to see people's reaction on Twitter to this news. I'm not telling you this is what I wanted. I'm telling you it makes sense from the Eagles' standpoint, meaning they have been under this sort of philosophy of defense for the last few years. He's been a consultant/assistant from above. We know about last year, Jonathan Gannon, sort of left him hanging in the lurch, thinking he was going to be back, which allowed Fangio to go down to Miami to be the DC down there, and the Eagles really wanted him here. And all of that. They got Jonathan Gannon in Arizona, tampering. The Eagles got a draft pick. Like, a lot of that stuff came because they wanted, or they certainly would have liked to have the opportunity to keep Vic Fangio here if they knew Jonathan Gannon was going to leave. So from that standpoint, this makes all the sense in the world. What doesn't make sense is why Vic Fangio would leave South Beach. But, he's a little older. He's not as young. So maybe – I thought the older people go to the South. It's usually
what they call snowbirds? Is that what they're called?
Yes.
They go down there during the winter?
This sort of plays out and benefits the Eagles. I don't know if they anticipated this was going to happen.
Well, I think we know why the meeting was delayed by 30 minutes.
Certainly could have had something to do with it. And so, yeah, like that's going to be – I almost would be more surprised if they don't hire Vic Fangio.
Would be shocked
as the defensive coordinator versus being surprised that he is the next defensive coordinator. And then even listening to Nick talk about the offense and his role in the offense, because all the other stuff, it's just coach speaking, it's GM speak. It's certain things I wanted to hear when they were asking. Great job by a lot of the guys down there asking the questions. Elliott got the first question out of there, so I want to give him props. That was a question that people certainly wanted to know. The first question of the day was firing Brian Johnson, what led to that, and then did you consult Jalen on that? But just listening to Nick talk about his role in the offense, he's going back to being sort of the CEO. We'll dive into that a little bit more. But as he continued to expand on his role in the offense and what the next guy was going to be in their role and what they were looking for, that to me came off as if they have a pretty good idea of who it is that's going to be the OC next.
Well, if it wasn't at least a good idea, I agree with you. I think they have a good idea. They also don't want to deter getting a top candidate.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't want a guy being like, well, I won't take the job because I'm not going to be able to call plays or run my offense.
Right.
It seemed like Nick was very much
making that clear.
Making that very clear. He got straight up asked, what is your job here now that you're not? Yeah. He's like, I might even be in the defensive meetings. Mm-hmm. So his job now is defined. It's culture guy.
But it's always been defined.
But last year might have muddied the waters though.
Only because the other OC was struggling.
Right.
I don't think Nick wanted to get involved in play calling.
I agree with you. But now it's like it turned into this is my offense, yada, yada, yada by the end of the season. Now it's very clear we're bringing in someone to run the offense, and he's like, maybe they'll mesh some of the things we did well here over the last couple years, which puts the pressure on Howie Roseman. It's always on Howie, but now you're taking Nick out of being anything to do. You have to get the coordinators right.
Yeah.
Because now it's you guys have to get that right. That's directly on Howie Roseman.
Yeah, it is. And I'll give, Howie sat up there and he didn't skirt any of the responsibility or accountability. He wanted to make sure that it falls on his shoulders for the way he talked about personnel, the roster that they put together, things of that nature. And he didn't push the responsibility on to someone else. He took the responsibility for the part that he played in, which certainly had to do with a lot of the personnel. So, again, it wasn't anything that was earth-shattering that they said, and I didn't expect anything earth-shattering to be said, but I thought the questions were the right questions, which actually forced them to address some things And listen, they got a little long-winded on some of these things. They
a lot of concern about the family stuff from Nick.
Yeah, got a little long-winded on some of those things, but I thought you came away from those with at least the fine answer. May not have been the answer you wanted or what have you, and I'm sure we'll talk to everybody and get everybody else reaction to the press conference. But I didn't get anything shocking on down to, and I thought how we doubled back and wanted to make it clear that, while we gather information from guys, because a lot is, and I know what he was doing. It was to clear up the whole Jalen, Brian Johnson, players not wanting coaches and this and that. In other words, Howie was saying players aren't deciding what we do with staff members. That's the crux of what Howie was trying to say. We may gather information from our guys at these exit meetings or what have you, but we're the ones who are deciding what we're going to do moving forward to improve the team. And that was also in the best way possible of saying, while we value Jalen's opinion and he's a big part of what we're doing moving forward, Jalen's not making this decision.
No. And given how long –
and by the way, I agree with that.
Given how long-winded Nick was when asked about how was Jalen after the Brian Johnson thing, doesn't really seem like they consulted with him. I mean, just
I didn't get that.
That was my read.
Yes,
I think
got the same read.
I think if they did, it was like, we of course talked to Jalen and he understood whatever. It's a business. They didn't really get the it's a business answer. So I'm not sure the quarterback's exactly thrilled with it. 215-592-9494 is how you get in. Do you feel better or worse? We've been waiting for that press conference for a while. I feel about the same. I don't feel a big sense of excitement about the future. I don't feel like everything's moving the right direction. The head coach's job, he's here just to be here essentially. Vic Fangio, I guess that would be exciting. Where you at? 215-592-9494.
I actually do feel a little better. I do feel a little better without knowing specifically who's going to be the new OC and new DC and what their staff is going to look like. It seems like, and I'll just stick to the OC. If I'm just going to assume Vic Fangio is going to be the guy, I'm already resigned to okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay, but from an offensive standpoint, which I think a lot of people were a little more concerned with, because really personnel is what you need. I don't care. You can, like I said, you can bring Buddy Ryan back here. You think he's getting anything more out of those guys? They can't play. They can't play.
Yeah,
you're slow. You're slow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's personnel on defense that matters more than the coaching, although the coaching is important. But offensively, how extensively Nick went into describing the roles and how the offense would evolve and how they would basically, that play caller is going to bring in what their system or what have you. I know he prefaced it by saying our system, but that guy is bringing in his system. Mm-hmm. He's going to call the plays and will incorporate some of the things we've done in the past into that offense. Don't you have to feel confident or at least a little encouraged that you're going to get a different philosophy on offense? Everybody's worried about the play designs and blitz pickups and too many long developing plays and all these things. Well, maybe let's see who they hire as the OC, and maybe it's somebody that we like.
Yeah. 215-592-9494 is how you get in. Do you feel better or worse? We waited for the press conference. Get in now. We'll also play some of the cuts all throughout. What did Nick Sirianni say about his role going forward? All of that coming up next on the afternoon show on Sports Radio 94 WIP.